The Echo Protocol. The quantum displays aboard the ESV Defiance cast an eerie blue glow across Commander Maya Chen's face as she studied the approaching Krell Armada. 3,000 vessels, each carrying enough firepower to level a continent, stretched across the void between Neptune and Uranus. Earth had days, not weeks, before they arrived. "Status report on the Echo Protocol," Maya called out, her voice steady despite the crushing weight of responsibility. Behind her, the bridge crew worked with quiet intensity, each person aware they represented humanity's last real hope. Lieutenant Darius Wright looked up from his station. "Echo Protocol calibration at 92% across all stations, Commander. The dimensional resonance field is stable, but we're still having fluctuations in the phase alignment." Maya nodded, moving to the central holographic display where 5 experimental vessels, all that Earth could spare, formed a pentagonal formation at the edge of the solar system. Conventional warfare wasn't an option. The Defiance and its sister ships weren't built for direct combat. They housed something far more experimental. "Dr. Okafor, your assessment." Maya turned to the quantum physicist whose theories had led to the creation of the Echo Protocol. Amara Okafor's dark eyes reflected the holographic display as she manipulated the quantum field projections. "The theory is solid, Commander. Space itself contains fundamental resonance patterns, quantum echoes that propagate through the dimensional substrate. If we can amplify our own resonance signature and broadcast it through the fleet's formation, we create dimensional interference that disrupts their technology," Maya finished. "But will it be enough to stop 3,000 ships?" "It's never been attempted at this scale," Amara admitted, "but the preliminary tests showed promising results." Maya's comm system chimed. Admiral Takashi's weathered face appeared on the screen, the expression of Earth's Defense Council grim behind him. "Commander Chen, Deep Space Reconnaissance has confirmed our fears. The Krell aren't just conquering, they're harvesting. Previous civilizations they've encountered have been systematically stripped of resources, with populations processed for biological components." Maya felt her jaw tighten. "Understood, Admiral. All the more reason our mission can't fail. The Security Council has authorized Omega Protocol if your mission fails," Takashi continued, his voice grave. "Earth will not be taken intact. Omega Protocol, the systematic self-destruction of Earth's major population centers and infrastructure. A scorched Earth policy on a global scale." Maya's hands formed fists at her sides. "We won't let it come to that, sir," she replied firmly. As the transmission ended, Maya turned to face her bridge crew. Their expressions reflected the gravity of the situation, but she saw something else too: determination. "I know what you're thinking," Maya said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "The odds are impossible. 5 ships against 3,000. But remember, we're not trying to outgun them. We're trying to outsmart them." She activated the tactical display, showing the modified Echo Protocol configuration. "The Krell rely on perfect coordination through their hyperspace comms. It's their greatest strength, but also their greatest vulnerability. Our dimensional resonance fields will create a quantum echo that should, in theory, disrupt that communication network." Chief Engineer Vikram Patel spoke up from his station. "Should is the operative word, Commander. We're betting everything on untested technology." Maya smiled thinly. "History is written by those willing to bet on should, Chief. We've always done our best work with our backs against the wall." Suddenly, Lieutenant Wright's console lit up with alerts. "Commander, we're detecting quantum scanning beams from the lead Krell vessels. They've spotted us." "Let them look," Maya replied. "They won't understand what they're seeing until it's too late." The holographic display showed the enemy fleet slowing as it approached, perhaps puzzled by the small formation of human ships that dared to stand against their overwhelming numbers. "They're broadcasting, Commander," announced Communications Officer Garcia. "The translation matrix is processing now." A harsh, multi-tone voice filled the bridge, a chorus speaking in unison that sent chills down Maya's spine. "Humans of Earth, we are the Krell consensus. We have studied your species and determined you are suitable for processing. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our repository. Resistance is inefficient and will result in increased resource expenditure. Surrender your vessels and prepare your planet for harvest. Maya exchanged glances with Lieutenant Commander Javier Rodriguez, her XO, who shook his head slightly. The arrogance in the message was palpable and potentially exploitable. "Open a channel," Maya ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." When the connection was established, the main view screen displayed a chamber filled with tall, pale beings with elongated limbs and multiple eyes that blinked in perfect synchronization. "This is Commander Maya Chen of Earth Defense Fleet. We acknowledge your message and request dialogue to discuss the terms of our processing." The Krell representatives tilted their heads in unison. "Dialogue is unnecessary. Your understanding is irrelevant to the process." "Perhaps," Maya countered smoothly, "but surely efficiency is valued in your consensus. A peaceful integration would minimize resource expenditure and preserve more of what makes Earth valuable to you." There was a pause, barely perceptible, but there. Maya had correctly identified their primary value: efficiency. "You will receive representatives aboard your vessel," the Krell stated finally. "Coordinates for transfer will follow." As the transmission ended, the bridge erupted with concerned voices. "Commander, you can't be serious. Allowing them on board?" Maya raised a hand, silencing the objections. "This is exactly what we need. Close proximity to calibrate our dimensional resonance field to their quantum signature." "Dr. Okafor, how soon can you analyze their patterns if we get them on board?" The physicist's eyes widened with understanding, then narrowed with focus. "Give me 15 minutes with one of them within range of our sensors, and I can map their entire quantum signature." "Good. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez, assemble the security team. Chief Patel, prepare to fine-tune the ECHO protocol based on Dr. Okafor's findings. Everyone else, continue battle preparations." Maya's voice hardened. "They think they're coming to negotiate our surrender. Let's use that confidence against them." As her crew dispersed to their tasks, Maya gazed out at the vast alien armada through the observation window. Their ships, angular and imposing, appeared to shimmer slightly as they communicated with each other through quantum networks humans had only recently begun to understand. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez approached, standing beside her at the window. "Are we crossing a line here, Maya? We're about to fundamentally alter another species' technology." Maya didn't look away from the alien fleet. "They crossed that line when they came here to harvest us against our will. We're fighting for our right to remain human, to maintain our independence. This is a battle for the future of consciousness itself." The ship's alert system chimed, indicating the approaching Krell shuttle. Maya straightened her uniform, mentally preparing for what would be humanity's most crucial first contact. "All hands, prepare to receive our guests," she ordered. "And may we remind them why it's dangerous to underestimate humans." The negotiation chamber aboard the Defiance felt unnaturally still as Maya faced Supreme Coordinator Vexnar, the Krell emissary. The alien's exoskeleton clicked softly with each movement, bioluminescent patterns pulsing across its surface in complex sequences. 4 of the creature's upper limbs remained in what Dr. Okafor had identified as a dominance position, while the lower ones manipulated a series of crystalline objects. Communication devices, Maya presumed. 47 civilizations have stood where you stand. The translation matrix interpreted Vexinar's clicks and whistles. 47 have fallen. Some fought. Some begged. The outcome remained unchanged. Maya maintained a neutral expression, though inwardly she noted the pride in the alien's posture. Pride was exploitable. A universal weakness, perhaps. "Perhaps," Maya replied carefully. "But humans have a saying, there's a first time for everything." Behind her, Rodriguez suppressed a smile as the translation caused the alien's bioluminescent patterns to flicker in what their xenobiologists interpreted as confusion. "Explain this concept," demanded Vexnar. "It means we're different," Maya said, Leaning forward, we'd like to understand more about processing. What happens to the individuals of species who accepted your terms? As Vexinar launched into a detailed explanation of the elevation process, a procedure that sounded suspiciously like complete neural rewriting, Maya noticed Dr. Okafor's subtle hand signal from the side of the room. They'd made progress with the signal analysis. Fascinating, Maya commented, stalling further. And this integration process, is it voluntary on an individual basis? The aliens' upper limbs twitched in what their briefing suggested was amusement or derision. Individual consent is a primitive concept. The consensus determines necessity. Resistance against elevation causes unnecessary suffering. Maya nodded thoughtfully while Dr. Okafor continued her scans behind a seemingly decorative panel. And what of species that have capabilities you haven't encountered before? Surely not all civilizations fit neatly into your existing patterns. Vexinar's head tilted. All biological and technological variations are analyzed and categorized. None have proven exceptional enough to warrant special consideration. Maya allowed a small smile. Until now, perhaps. The alien's posture shifted slightly. Your confidence is unfounded. Our scans of your vessels reveal primitive technology. You have not even mastered basic quantum field manipulation. At that moment, Dr. Okafor gave the final signal. Analysis complete. I think you'll find that humans are full of surprises, Maya said, standing. This meeting has been informative. We'll need time to discuss your proposal with our leadership. Vexinar's bioluminescence flashed what their xenobiologists identified as irritation. There is nothing to discuss. You will. We insist, Maya interrupted firmly. Allow us 12 of your standard time units to prepare our planet for your arrival. Efficiency, remember. After the Krell delegation departed, Maya assembled her command staff in the secure briefing room. Dr. Okafor immediately brought up the analysis results on the main display. Their quantum signature is unlike anything we theorize, she explained, pointing to the complex waveforms. Their ships don't just communicate through quantum fields. They're literally woven into the fabric of space-time at a fundamental level. It's how they maintain perfect coordination across such a large fleet. Maya leaned forward. Can we disrupt it? Dr. Okafor's eyes gleamed. Better than that. With these readings, I can tune our echo protocol to create a cascading dimensional resonance that won't just disrupt their communications. It could temporarily sever their connection to our local space-time. What does that mean in practical terms? Rodriguez asked. It means, Maya answered, understanding dawning, that we might be able to make them phase partially out of our reality. Not destroyed, but displaced, unable to affect us. Precisely, Dr. Okafor confirmed. But there's a catch. The energy required to generate such a field is enormous. We'd need to channel the output through all 5 ships simultaneously. And even then what? Maya pressed. Dr. Okafor hesitated. The dimensional feedback could be unpredictable. We're talking about manipulating the fundamental structure of reality itself. There could be consequences we can't foresee. Maya looked around at her command staff, seeing the weight of the decision in their eyes. What alternatives do we have? Silence was the only answer. Coordinate with the other vessels, Maya ordered finally. We deploy the Echo Protocol in 6 hours. That gives the Krell just enough time to commit their entire fleet to the engagement. As the meeting dispersed, Rodriguez lingered behind. Maya, if this works, we'll be altering the fabric of space in our solar system. The implications. If this doesn't work, Maya replied quietly, there won't be anyone left to worry about implications. Sometimes, Javier, we have to trust that the universe is more resilient than we give it credit for. 6 hours later, the 5 human vessels had formed their pentagonal formation at the edge of the solar system. The Krell Armada had spread out into their harvest formation, surrounding the human ships in a display of overwhelming force. Echo Protocol calibrated to Krell quantum signature, reported Lieutenant Wright. All ships report ready status. "They're hailing us again, Commander," Officer Garcia announced. The main screen lit up with Vexinar's image. "Your time has expired, humans. Surrender now and expedite the processing." Maya stood, facing the screen. "Actually, we've decided on a third option. Neither surrender nor conventional resistance." She turned to Dr. Okafor and nodded. "Now." Dr. Okafor initiated the sequence, and a faint vibration began to build throughout the ship as the ICO protocol activated. On the tactical display, energy fields from all 5 ships began to merge, creating a rapidly expanding dimensional resonance wave. "What is this?" demanded Vexnar, the first traces of uncertainty in its voice as bioluminescent patterns flashed chaotically. "This," Maya said with quiet intensity, "is humanity saying no." The resonance wave expanded outward, washing over the first line of Krell vessels. The effect was immediate and stunning. The ships seemed to flicker, becoming transparent as their quantum signature was forced out of alignment with local spacetime. "It's working," exclaimed Dr. Okafor, her eyes wide as she monitored the readings. "Their ships are being partially phased out of our dimensional plane." But as the wave continued to expand, something unexpected happened. The space around them began to ripple, as if the fabric of reality itself was responding to their manipulation. The stars seemed to stretch and distort, and strange echoes reverberated through the bridge, voices and sounds that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. "Dr. Okafor, what's happening?" Maya demanded as the ship's systems began to fluctuate. "I don't know," the physicist responded, frantically working her console. "The dimensional resonance is creating some kind of feedback loop. It's as if space itself is responding to our signal." The tactical display showed the Krell vessels in disarray, many of them now barely visible as they phased further out of normal space. But the resonance wave had taken on a life of its own, patterns shifting and changing in ways their models hadn't predicted. "Commander," Wright called out in alarm. "Something's coming through." The view screen showed the space between the human ships and the Krell fleet beginning to fold and ripple, a strange darkness forming that wasn't merely the absence of light, but something more fundamental, a void in reality itself. As Maya watched in awe and trepidation, the void seemed to pulse, like a heartbeat, responding to the echo protocol in ways they never could have anticipated. "What have we done?" whispered Rodriguez beside her. Maya had no answer as the void continued to grow, reaching out toward the Krell ships with tendrils of nothingness. She could only watch as space itself seemed to rebel against the invaders, awakened to be the void's answer. The bridge of the Defiance fell silent as crew members stared in shock at the main view screen. What had begun as a defensive measure had evolved into something far beyond their understanding. The void that had formed between their pentagonal formation and the Krell Armada pulsed with strange energies, tendrils of darkness reaching out toward the alien vessels. "Status report," Maya demanded, breaking the stunned silence. Lieutenant Wright's fingers flew across his console. "Echo protocol is still active, but the resonance pattern has changed. It's evolving somehow. I can't explain it." Dr. Okafor's face was illuminated by the glow of her quantum displays, her expression a mixture of scientific awe and horror. "Commander, I believe we've inadvertently triggered something fundamental. The dimensional resonance isn't just disrupting the Krell's quantum signature, it's interacting with the underlying structure of spacetime itself." "Is it dangerous?" Maya asked, watching as more Krell ships flickered and partially phased out of normal space. "I don't know," Okafor admitted. "But whatever it is, it seems to be targeting the Krell specifically. Look." On the tactical display, they could see the void's tendrils wrapping around Krell vessels, while completely ignoring the 5 human ships. The affected alien craft didn't appear damaged, but rather displaced, existing partially in another dimensional plane. "They're retreating," Rodriguez announced as the outer edge of the Krell formation began to pull back. "At least, the ones that still can." Maya allowed herself a moment of hope before the ship suddenly shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. "What was that?" she demanded. Chief Engineer Patel's voice came through the comm, tense and urgent. "Commander, the Echo protocol is drawing more power than anticipated. The dimensional resonance is feeding back into our systems. We're seeing critical strain on the quantum field generators. Can we shut it down?" Maya asked. "Negative," Dr. Okafor replied, her face pale. "The resonance has become self-sustaining. If we try to cut power now, the backlash could tear the ships apart." The tactical display updated to show a new development. The Krell ships that had managed to avoid the void's initial expansion were regrouping, adjusting their formation into what appeared to be a counter-resonance pattern. "They're adapting," Rodriguez observed grimly. "Looks like they're trying to create their own dimensional field to neutralize ours." A harsh communication burst came through their systems as Vexenar's image appeared on screen, the Krell coordinator's bioluminescence pulsing erratically. "What have you done?" The translation matrix interpreted, the synthetic voice containing something close to fear. "You tamper with forces beyond your comprehension. The Void remembers. The Void knows." The transmission cut off abruptly as another violent shudder ran through the ship. "Sir, the Krell countermeasure is working," Wright reported. "Our resonance field is destabilizing. The Void is fluctuating." Maya watched the tactical display as the Void began to contract, the tendrils withdrawing as the Krell's counter-resonance field strengthened. The alien ships that had been partially phased began to solidify again, returning fully to normal space. "Dr. Okafor, auctions," Maya demanded. The physicist was silent for a moment, then looked up with determination in her eyes. "There is one possibility. The Echo protocol was designed to create a specific resonance pattern based on our understanding of dimensional physics. But what we're seeing now suggests our understanding was incomplete." "Meaning?" Maya pressed. "Meaning the Void isn't just a side effect. It's a manifestation of something that was always there, something that exists in the dimensional substrate beneath normal space, something that our resonance awakened." Okafor manipulated her console, bringing up new calculations. "If we recalibrate the Echo protocol to amplify the Void's own resonance pattern, rather than imposing ours, we let the Void fight back on its own terms," Maya finished, understanding. "Can you do it?" "Yes, but there's a problem," Okafor said grimly. "The recalibration would require direct manipulation of the quantum field generators. Someone would need to physically adjust the harmonic regulators while the system is active." "In the generator chamber. While this is happening," Engineer Patel's voice came through the comm, incredulous. "The quantum radiation in there would be lethal within minutes." Maya stood, her decision already made. "Prepare the recalibration sequence. Dr. Okafor, send the calculations to my personal device." "Commander, no," Rodriguez stepped forward. "I'll go. This is my responsibility." "Javier," Maya said firmly, "the other ships need coordination, and you're the only one who can provide that if I'm gone." "That's an order." Rodriguez's jaw tightened, but he nodded reluctantly. "Understood, Commander." Maya turned to Okafor. "How much time will I have once I'm in the chamber?" "At current radiation levels," Okafor calculated quickly. 7 minutes, perhaps 8 before exposure becomes critical. The adjustment itself will take at least 5 if everything goes perfectly." "Then I'd better not make any mistakes," Maya replied with a grim smile. "Lieutenant Wright, coordinate with the other ships. They need to maintain formation no matter what happens. Chief Patel, meet me at the generator access." As Maya left the bridge, the Defiance shuddered again, more violently this time. The Void continued to contract as the Krell countermeasures strengthened. Their window of opportunity was closing rapidly. At the quantum generator access point, Chief Patel waited with the necessary equipment. His expression was solemn as he handed Maya the specialized tools and a radiation shield vest. "This won't protect you for long," he warned. "And once you start the recalibration, The field fluctuations will only increase the radiation levels. I understand the risks, Chief, Maya replied, securing the vest. Just make sure the bridge has direct access to the generator controls once I've made the adjustments. Patel nodded, then surprised her by offering a crisp salute. It has been an honor, Commander. Maya returned the salute. The honor has been mine. Now let's make sure it wasn't wasted. The access door to the generator chamber hissed open, revealing the pulsing blue-white core of the quantum field generator. Even with the protective vest, Maya could feel the radiation prickling against her skin as she stepped inside. The door sealed behind her with a final sounding click. I'm in position, she reported over the comm. Beginning recalibration sequence. Maya moved to the primary harmonic regulator, a complex array of crystalline structures that controlled the fundamental frequency of the echo protocol. Following Okafor's calculations on her device, she began the delicate process of adjusting each crystal's position by fractions of a millimeter. The ship shuddered continuously now as the battle between the void and the Krell countermeasures intensified. Sweat beaded on Maya's forehead, both from concentration and the heat generated by the increasingly unstable quantum field. 3 minutes, Dr. Okafor's voice came through the comm. You're doing well, Commander. The harmonic pattern is shifting. Maya's hands were beginning to shake slightly as radiation exposure mounted, but she forced herself to maintain precision. What's happening out there? The Krell are pressing their advantage, Rodriguez replied. The void has contracted to half its previous size, but they're still keeping their distance from our formation. Maya moved to the secondary regulators, making the necessary adjustments with increasingly unsteady hands. Warning lights flashed around the chamber as radiation levels continued to rise. 5 minutes, Okafor reported. Radiation approaching critical levels. Commander, you need to finish quickly. Almost there, Maya gritted out, fighting through the growing pain and nausea. Final calibration sequence, initiating now. As she aligned the last crystal, the generator core pulsed brilliantly, the blue-white light shifting to a deep, resonant purple that seemed to absorb rather than emit light. The harmonic frequency changed, a deep thrumming that Maya felt in her bones. Recalibration complete, she managed, stumbling back from the controls. Activate. Full sequence. Activating now, Okafor confirmed. Commander, get out of there. Maya turned toward the exit, but her legs buckled beneath her as radiation sickness took hold. She collapsed to her knees, then managed to prop herself against a console. Through the observation port, she could see space itself beginning to respond to the new resonance pattern. It's working. Rodriguez's voice came through the comm, filled with wonder. The void is. It's expanding again, but differently. More structured. More purposeful. On the bridge, the crew watched in awe as the void between their ships and the Krell Armada expanded once more, but now with a strange, almost geometric precision. The tendrils that reached out toward the alien vessels moved not randomly, but with deliberate intent, wrapping around the ships in complex patterns that corresponded exactly to their quantum signatures. The void is targeting their specific dimensional frequency, Dr. Okafor breathed, watching the readings. It's as if it recognizes them. The Krell countermeasures faltered against this new assault. Ship after ship flickered and phased, not merely displaced now, but somehow fundamentally altered. Their very structures seemed to be rewritten by the void's touch. In the generator chamber, Maya watched through fading vision as space itself rebelled against the invaders. The pain had receded now, replaced by a strange clarity as her consciousness began to slip away. But then something unexpected happened. As she stared into the void through the observation port, Maya felt a presence, vast and ancient, turn its attention toward her. Not malevolent, not benevolent, but aware, curious. Commander, Rodriguez's voice seemed distant now. Something's happening to the void. It's changing direction. Through the port, Maya saw a tendril of darkness separate from the main body of the void and move toward the Defiance. Not attacking, but reaching out with what almost seemed like curiosity. "Let it come," Maya whispered, unsure if her comm was still transmitting. "It's not hostile. It's awakened." The tendril touched the hull of the Defiance, and for a moment, reality seemed to pause. Then, to the astonishment of the bridge crew, it spread across the ship, enveloping it not in destruction, but in something that the sensors registered as a protective field. "Radiation levels throughout the ship are dropping," reported a stunned Lieutenant Wright, "and the structural integrity field is strengthening." "Commander Chen," Dr. Okafor called urgently. "The quantum generator chamber. Radiation levels are falling there too." In the chamber, Maya watched as the darkness flowed around her, not threatening but somehow comforting. The pain receded and her vision cleared. She felt something at the edge of her consciousness. Not words exactly, but understanding. The void was not empty. It was the foundation of everything. And it had recognized in humanity's desperate gambit something it had not encountered before. A species that could perceive it, communicate with it, awaken it. "I understand," Maya whispered to the presence. "We didn't create you. We just reminded you that you were there." On the bridge, the tactical display showed a stunning development. The void had expanded to encompass the entire Krell armada now, but rather than destroying the ships, it was changing them. Their quantum signatures were being rewritten, forcing them out of the specific frequency they had used to harvest and destroy. They can't maintain their consensus, Dr. Okafor realized, watching the readings. The void is disrupting the very frequency they use to think collectively. It's individualizing them. The main screen flickered to life, showing not Vexnar, but a different Krell, its bioluminescent patterns erratic and distinctly unique, no longer synchronized with the others of its kind. "What is this?" the alien asked, its translation coming through not as the previous unified voice, but as a single, confused individual. "I am. Separate. I am. You're an individual now," Rodriguez replied. "The consensus has been broken." Throughout the Krell fleet, confusion reigned as thousands of beings experienced individual consciousness for the first time. Their ships drifted, formation broken, weapons powered down as they struggled to comprehend their new existence. In the generator chamber, the door slid open as the void's presence receded, leaving Maya sitting on the floor, somehow recovered from the worst of the radiation exposure. Medical teams rushed in, expecting to find her near death, only to discover her weakened but conscious and alert. "Commander, how?" the lead medic began. Later, Maya interrupted, struggling to her feet with their help. "Get me to the bridge." When she arrived, supported by the medical team, a cheer went up from the crew. The tactical display showed the Krell fleet in disarray, the void having receded but leaving behind a permanent change in the alien's quantum signature. "Status report," Maya ordered, moving to her command chair despite the medic's protests. "The Krell fleet is intact but completely disorganized," Rodriguez reported. "Their quantum signatures have been permanently altered. The consensus appears to be completely broken." "And the void?" Maya asked. Dr. Okafor brought up the readings. "It's retreated to a background state, but it's still there. The dimensional substrate has been awakened, for lack of a better term. It's maintaining a light resonance throughout the system that precisely counters the Krell's original harvesting frequency." "They can never use it again," Maya realized. "Not here, at least." "Not just here," Okafor corrected with wonder in her voice. "The resonance is propagating through subspace. It will eventually reach every corner of the galaxy. The harvesting frequency they've used for thousands of years has been neutralized permanently." Maya sat back, the implications washing over her. Open a channel to the Krell fleet. When the connection was established, dozens of individual Krell appeared on screen, each with unique bioluminescent patterns, each moving independently, no longer a consensus but a collection of individuals. "This is Commander Maya Chen of Earth," she began. What you're experiencing now is individuality, something humans have always known. Your consensus has been broken, but you haven't been destroyed. You've been liberated. Each of you now has the freedom to think, to choose, to be. We invite your representatives to meet with us, not as a collective, but as individuals to discuss where we go from here. The responses came not as a unified voice, but as a cacophony of individual reactions, confusion, fear, anger, but also curiosity, relief, and something that might even be gratitude. Later, as Maya stood at the observation window watching the changed Krell fleet, Rodriguez joined her. "The medics say there's no explanation for your recovery," he said quietly. "The radiation you were exposed to should have been fatal." Maya's gaze remained fixed on the stars. "The void protected me. It recognized something in us. Not just me, but in humanity. We woke it up, Javier. Space itself was never truly empty. It was just dormant, waiting. For us," Rodriguez asked skeptically. "Not specifically," Maya replied, "but for a species that could perceive it, communicate with it. The Krell never did. They just exploited dimensional physics without understanding the consciousness underlying it." She turned to face him. "We didn't win this battle with superior firepower or even superior technology. We won because we were willing to trust in something we didn't fully understand." Rodriguez shook his head in wonder. "So what happens now? With the void, I mean." Maya smiled, looking back out at the stars that somehow seemed more alive than they had before. "Now we learn to communicate. The universe just answered back, Javier. And I think it's been waiting a very long time for someone to notice it was there." Across the solar system, as the 5 ships of humanity's last hope maintained their formation, the fabric of space itself seemed to shimmer with new awareness. The day space rebelled had changed everything, not just for humanity and the Krell, but for the nature of reality itself. The void had answered, and the universe would never be quite the same again.